we're a band that wants to be together and like wants to continue to write together, and we're fighting like hell to keep that path alive.
What started as a college band in Miami has grown into a cross-country effort with the staying power to thrive through years of recording from thousands of miles apart. But the Hales decided it was time for a change, or rather, a return. Out October 23rd, their new album took shape under the same roof for the first time in years. It's called Duckpond, and it's a record they can proudly say came from all of them. Recently, I spoke with frontman Robbie Kingsley and drummer Zach Levy about it all. At this point, you've spent years, I think, remote recording across different cities, and I read that for your new material, you rented a house in South Florida to physically be back in the same room together. So how do you think the decision to record that way again changed the band's creative chemistry from, what it's been more recently? Did it kind of feel like old times?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that was like the goal we were trying to get out of it, just
Yeah.
like be in the room, jam, feel out the jams together, and yeah, less of like a sitting in a room hammering out a melody, alone, like more just feeling the flow and kind of understanding like where each person wanted to take, a certain groove or like a certain inspiration. So yeah, that was very intentional.
And, so while you're normally spread across, I think it's Miami, Brooklyn, and DC, is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So how do you go about maintaining like a succinct creative focus while still making room for changes that are probably bound to happen with all the remote recording that you probably, have to do most of the time?
I guess like we've usually just like rolled with things for the last couple releases. I think it's, just like a constant fight to like find time to be together. Cause, I mean, we're still working at, regular jobs, and like, outside of that, there's like family stuff and just life. So yeah, I mean, but like it's a constant passion where we're just like, when are we getting together next? And what's the next move is, always on our mind. I think that's why this record, we really were like, hey, let's, set aside like a dedicated period of time. Like it was like finite. It was 2 months in a house, 1 month to record, and then, that was basically the whole process. Like we knew we had, in dates. So yeah, I think that's the first time we've actually had a structure to something.
And do you think you're better for it?
Yeah, I mean, I love the record, so yeah, I mean, I think it was time to, actually like sit down in a room and like figure out, how do we want to sound like coherently as a group more than just like, hey, I've got a song, let's see what we can do with it.
So you were in the house for 2 months. Did you basically just sort of see music, like songwriting, as like your full-time job during that period of time?
Yeah, I mean, so because I was in Miami, I was still like flying back and forth
Okay.
to do my job, and Franco was flying back and forth from DC, and so it was just kind of, it honestly was like a vacation, I mean, and
Yeah.
Zach lived there, so he can speak to,
I mean, it did kind of feel like a full time, right? I mean, I think I was working like some of the days, but it did feel it felt like when we were there, we were like fully there.
Mhm.
Like that was like our total focus was really just locking in and writing as much music as possible together because we hadn't been able to do that in honestly like years.
Yeah.
Like we used to we had a studio we built, a few years ago, but we got rid of that. And this was the first time we were able to kind of get in a room together and have like, weeks at a time just kind of jamming and writing new material.
And speaking of that new material, I know that some of your most like popular songs spent years being, refined on stage before they were recorded. And so, are there any tracks on, I guess, your upcoming album, which I actually don't know if it's been announced yet, that have followed that sort of same like long-term evolution, or was everything created, in that 2 month span?
No, that was a rule we set ahead of
Okay.
time. Like nothing can be, from previous ideas, voice notes, like literally nothing.
Yeah.
So
It's
yeah, it
all
was
new.
everything was made in that room.
Was it hard not to let some of those other ideas that I'm sure you probably had like creep in?
Honestly, no. Like I think we were all at a point where we were just kind of like I think we'd kind of exhausted that tank, where it's
Yeah.
like I've heard, Dylan's most recent guitar ideas for the last 3 years. I've heard, Franco's, little production bits of stuff and we had tried, like I think that's sort of how like Cut the Swarm was kind of, finally like put out in the world because that was like a really old song that I had and then Franco, did a really good job like, kind of beefing up a lot of the sounds and so that was fun, but I think it was just sort of like we're so ready for just something new,
Yeah.
like we've tried this for so long and like even I think I felt tapped out of like my sitting around on my acoustic guitars at home, just didn't really have much for probably like a year or two. So yeah, I was ready to just, be fully collaborative.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like that was the right call. Your latest single that you have out right now, it came out a little less than a month ago at time of recording. It's called "Story of You and Me." It uses film as sort of like a metaphor for navigating relationships, and so do you see this lens having any sort of broader influence on the upcoming record, or was that mainly just isolated to the one song?
Yeah, I think that's pretty solo to that song.
Okay.
I think that one actually was kind of spearheaded by Franco.
Hmm.
Because I didn't really have a lot of I remember not really understanding the idea at first because it was kind of born out of like a synth loop on the he has the Teenage Engineering OP1,
Oh, nice.
which is like a really cool little toy. And so I didn't really like understand where he was going with it. And then all of a sudden it kind of locked in, but that was like past him writing a good bit of the lyrics. So, but yeah, no, I think the rest is a bit more about like, our situation as a band and like trying to, understand our place in like a late stage capitalistic like world where we're,
Yeah.
fighting jobs and fighting society to keep doing what we love.
Yeah. I love like the teenage engineering gear. It all just
Yeah.
looks so cool and succinct, but it's so foreign to me. I would not understand it either. So
Oh, I know. Yeah, I remember taking like 30 minutes to play with it and just it was fun. I was just so lost.
yeah. But no, so the video for that song as well, do you think you accomplish, because I think a lot of times, the goal of a video, not always, but a lot of times is to add another sort of sensory layer to what you've already recorded. Do you think that you accomplished that with the video, or did you kind of see it taking a different direction when that came out?
I don't know if you have anything, Zach, but I mean, I think the video is really cool. Like, I think it was just sort of there's sort of like a narrative that, we're gonna build through these releases about we're sort of, wanting it to be a metaphor for like, we basically like we're playing like fictionalized characters of ourselves and all these guys want to do is they just want to put on a show. And so Story of You and Me, is the show, but then you'll kind of see us, through the rest of our rollout, we're kind of like doing idiotic things along the way. So yeah, I think that, Story of You and Me sets the scene for what we want to be, and I think the rest of the songs will probably show some of that struggle.
Yeah, no pun intended. The video definitely sets the stage for, what's to come. Like Robbie said, we're fictionalized versions of ourselves and we're going through all these odd jobs as you'll see just to make ends meet and kind of Yeah, no, I'm very excited for kind of what the next videos are gonna look like and what we're gonna keep diving into as far as kind of the brand and message we're trying to get across with this album.
Robert mentioned something in his last response that just sort of made me think. So your first album, it's called "What's Your Motive?" It came out, back in 2023. A lot's changed since then. But if that album was sort of about, figuring out who you are as a band, do you think this one's sort of a response to that last one, or is there like a different philosophy tying this body of work together?
Yeah, I think that's still there. Like there's still that's still like a pretty present theme of like, understanding what motivates you and like, where you want to put your time and energy. But then this one might be sort of a refocusing on like how do, what do we actually want to do? Because it's that one certainly is sort of like, hey, we're a band and we want to make songs, but then this one seems to be a bit more like we're a band that wants to be together and like wants to, continue to write together and, we're fighting like hell to keep that path alive. And yeah, I mean, even the title of Duck Pond is sort of it's not really the true meaning, but I've kind of ascribed a meaning of like a duck pond's like a man-made safe haven for animals. And, that's sort of where we can find ourselves at time where it's like, a lot of people will be like, yeah, this is awesome. Like I have like decent streams. I play like fun shows, but like we're at a point where we're kind of like, there's got to be more to this, right? Like, we gotta keep growing. It's sort of unsustainable at times. So yeah, we've kind of got to get out of the duck pond in a way.
Yeah. Have you had the chance to play any of the new material for audiences yet?
We did actually. We played two of the tracks on our last tour, like last fall, and they were getting some pretty good love.
That's good. Did it give you hope for the rest of it?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it was. I think one thing too was kind of because we were playing in a room. This was sport. This was sort of our way of like kind of riding for like the live atmosphere as well, which a lot of bands like we know do a really good job at. And we like the total line of like, really crazy, interesting production and but also like, still trying to be like a guitar band. There's still a garage ethos to everything I do, but certainly, like we want to still, be open to like just a good classic pop production. So, but sometimes that can get lost live, you just don't really have the capabilities with like all the little, bells and whistles. And, because when you're like running tracks through just like a live setting, it's not really the best medium for that type of sound. But yeah, so I think, yeah, we were just trying to kind of be a live band again at the same time. And so yeah, playing those songs, you're gonna basically recreate it identically to how we recorded it. So they'll definitely hopefully be, good ones at the shows.
And I think in terms of your philosophy when it comes to playing your songs live versus how it sounds on a record, what's one thing about the completed record that you're sort of excited for listeners to hear for the first time?
I think this record just feels the most complete and cohesive compared to, other projects we've done. Honestly, in my opinion, since He Seems Upset, where it just kind of flows really well and, feels like something that was like written in like a time period together. It's got some familiarity, but it reaches for something different that I feel like we haven't really done before. And I think the people listening are going to be excited to kind of hear the direction we're going in and could be what we lean into more in the future as well.
I was reading some of your past interviews, and I think something that you've spoken about before is perseverance, pushing through the fatigue as a band. And you've been a band for almost 10 years now, so something obviously is working. Is there something that immediately comes to mind that keeps that going?
I mean, definitely the live show. Like that's all I want to do is just get on a stage every night and perform. I definitely like tap into a different part of myself when I'm on tour. Like the, even the struggles of tour, like I'll take that over, going into an office. I still see myself, on the 7 o'clock bill at Lollapalooza, like beautiful sunset vibe, I think there's still a path for us to be, just among the great people of our own generation. So yeah, I think that's sort of what still keeps it going.
I think we genuinely love making music together, and we had a lot of success in the beginning of our career, and we just want to keep writing great songs and performing for people, and I feel like that's just like the high that we chase, that we keep going for.
Hmm.
Now, I know you've got that tour coming up in October. Are you going to be playing any more shows between now and then?
Nothing planned. We're gonna kick it off by supporting a band, but that's not announced yet. But that hopefully will be announced soon. And then yeah, it's all kind of like right in that same time period. So it's all kind of rolling into like one big tour.
Duckpond is out October 23rd. You can pre-save it on digital streaming platforms and keep up with them on social media for more updates as we get closer to the release. The Hales are also out on tour starting October 14th, first supporting Axe and the Hatchet Men until October 25th, when they will headline through much of November. Check out their website, thehalesofficial.com, for the full tour schedule. For more interviews with other cool bands, visit youngsteryear.com, follow this project on Instagram @youngsteryear, and listen to these interviews anywhere podcasts are available. That's all for now. Hope you enjoyed, and thank you for listening.